Shall we play a game?
We got one person online. The workload is enough for like 10 users. I think we got a hacker.
Shall we play a game?
Good morning. It is June the 13th. It is 10:34. I am late, I know, but this is your morning brief. So it's not long now until Father's Day. Just thought I'd throw that out there, just in case my daughter was actually listening to this podcast. She tells me she does, but who knows? I'm sure she's not interested in anything I say other than something to try and make fun of me. But it is Father's Day coming up, so just a reminder. So there's a lot of interest going on. We've seen, obviously, there was a whole heap of patches that came out. There's a couple that looked slightly interesting, but nothing that was like, wow, that was out there. But it was like, there was a whole heap from Adobe, there was from Microsoft, SAP, Intel. It's kind of like they all put it out on the same day, I guess, so they could all bury the news if anything's really bad out there. But it was like, Microsoft 88 CVE listed flaws. So that's quite a lot. I mean, the ones that I would look for, the elevation privilege, there was 4. There was a Windows shell, a task scheduler, Windows installer, and an Apex deployment service. So if you want to listen to it, CVE 2019-1053, CVE 2019-1069, CVE 2019-0974, and CVE 2019-1064. Those are like the 4 main ones that I think most admins should be patching. There was also a denial of service in an IIS web server, which was a 2019-0941, which I would probably look at. I mean, it's, denial of service is denial of service. That's something that if it's a critical, if you're looking at the CIA and your availability is, 10 or, the highest, then denial of service is a problem. On top of which, denial of service, one of the things I've noticed, don't put, like if you've got your website, host it third party. And there's a reason for this. If someone says something or does something silly in your organization and the world and his wife want to go and visit your website and you have the web service on the same pipe as every other service you have on, then the mere fact of everybody visiting you may take down all your services. So just bear in mind, sometimes that's why we host, or at least have some kind of mitigation for denial of service attacks. So that's part of really what's going on at that part. Nothing that, that I would say, I mean, there was a couple of items that got dropped. I think it was yesterday. It was as a critical flaw in Evernote extension for Chrome users. This is where I think things are going to be getting interesting. So there was Telegram suffered a real distributed denial of service attack. If you don't know, Telegram's a popular encrypted messaging app. Coincidentally, this occurred during the Hong Kong protests. We're starting to see this trend of, sort of despot nations turning around and saying, if there's an uprising, let's just clamp down on social media so people can't share things. That's interesting. When you think about why denial of service is not really considered the biggest thing, but really we do need to think about denial of service. So it goes back to that IIS flaw. It can be used, especially from nation state, to silence things. And because we're so heavily into this, if the internet suddenly stopped working, how much flow of information would there be? And could we trust that flow of information? That we'd be getting on television, or, it's an interesting concept. And, obviously it's Thursday and it's 10:38 and I'm wide awake and testing. Literally, I've been doing web application testing most of the morning and evening, or last night even. So it's maybe because I'm just wired, but it is kind of interesting. So it is 10:38. Get patching. It's patch away. And 10:38 on Thursday, June the 13th. And that was your morning brief.
Shall we play a game?
We got one person online. The workload is enough for like 10 users. I think we got a hacker.